NCERTs. If you take a close look at the question papers of 2025, especially CGL and Steno, you can clearly see that one can handle at least 3 to 4 questions of each of the shifts directly from NCERT. In fact, there are certain questions where the verbatim is directly picked up, that is, word to word from NCERT is picked up in the questions. So it is now clear that reading NCERTs is mandatory, but the problem is the problem of plenty. There are so many NCERTs and reading all those NCERTs is definitely not worth the time. The return on investment in reading all those NCERTs is minimal. Now the question is, should I read NCERTs or should I skip NCERTs? The answer is both yes and yes. You need to read NCERTs, but you don't have to read all NCERTs. You need selective reading of NCERTs. And before I discuss any further, let me show you the proofs. Well, let's take a look at the questions, and these are the questions taken from CGL papers of 2025 with their date and shift mentioned beside the questions. The first question is, which of the following features distinguish the Elephanta caves from other rock cut sites of early India? This is a question from the topic of architecture, and if you see the question, they are primarily Buddhist with the stupas. This is first option, and this is the caves are focused on Shaivite themes. Now, this is a screenshot directly taken from NCERT, and you see this. The caves are near Mumbai, originally a Buddhist site, later dominated by Shaiva faith. So it clearly says though it is a Buddhist site, it is dominated by Shaiva faith, which means this is your clear-cut answer, and you can answer this easily with the help of NCERT. Now let me show you the next question. Which of the following types of landslides involved in backward rotation of slipping material? This is a question from the topic of geomorphic processes and landforms, which is usually seen in world physical geography. And this is a screenshot of NCERT. Look at this line. Slump is slipping one or several units of rock debris with a backward rotation with respect to the slope. So backward rotation with respect to the slope, the diagram is also given and clearly says it is slump, and you can see it clearly in the options. Now let me show you the next question. The question says, which of the following correctly describes the musical form Swara Jati? So the question is about Swara Jati. This is an excerpt taken from NCERT. Look at this. Swara Jati is a very old musical form in Carnatic. You take a look at the options. A musical form later developed for dance. This again can be handled easily with the help of NCERT, and that was a question from the classical music form, the core theory of classical music. The next question, which of the following statements are true about glacial landforms? The question talks about hanging valleys, spurs, and there are certain statements, and the question says which statement is correct. Now NCERT gives a lot of dedicated one full page theory to explain these topics, and this is the image. If you take a look at the image, this is truncated spur, this is hanging valley, these are the topics. The description, you can clearly see it in NCERTs, and you can handle this question also. Now let me show you the next question. The question says, which of the following pairs are correctly matched with a limestone cave formation? There is stalcite, stalagmite, pillars, and stalagmite again. So these are the pairs. Now this topic is also from landforms of NCERT. Take a look at this image. This talks about stalcite. This also talks about stalagmite. Stalcite drops from top, stalagmite, and both these join to form a pillar. If you understand the image, you can handle the question, or even if you take a read at the paragraph also, you can say that stalcite is wrong because it drops from the top, and stalagmite is wrong, it is from bottom. Union is correct, the union pillar is correct. So you can understand, you can handle this question from theory, or from the diagram you can handle the question. Now let me show you one more question. Which of the following statements most accurately describe the difference between Mathura, Gandhar schools of art as understood in architectural history of India? This question you can clearly handle it from NCERT. See this, sculptural traditions of Gandhar had the influence from various places and Hellenistic or Roman features. And Mathura, there are Buddhist images which are found in large numbers, etc. So these are the two sentences. Using those two sentences, you can clearly say that this statement is wrong, this statement is clearly right, right? You can handle this question as well from NCERT. Let me show you one more question. Natural leeways are most commonly associated with which of the following environments? The answer is floodplains of large rivers. Now see the NCERT screenshot. Natural leeways, important landforms found with the floodplains along the banks of large rivers. This you can handle the question directly from NCERT. And let me show you one last question. The dispersed rural settlements can be found predominantly in which of the following areas of India? Look at the option. It talks about Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh along with certain options. Now, this is a screenshot from Human Geography Settlements chapter. Dispersed settlements possible in huts and remote jungles, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh. So you can handle the questions directly from NCERTs, and these are simple examples. Now, you might ask me, you have shown us just 8 questions and there are 40 shifts of CGL, which means the number of questions that I have shown you is less than 1%. So, should we read NCERTs for that 1%? The answer is yes, because those 8 questions are just a sample. I have shown you those questions to show you that there are certain areas, certain specific topics from which there are a lot of questions that are being asked, and those questions are being picked up directly from NCERTs. Now, in your entire syllabus, you have history, geography, polity, economy, and these topics comprise of 50% of your question paper, which is absolutely true and everybody knows this. But if you take a detailed look at the question papers of 2025, it is very clear that there are certain areas, certain topics within these subjects which have renewed, which have more focus. The topics such as schools of art, architectural styles, and core theory of music, dance, etc. within history, landforms, geomorphic processes, settlements, population, these are the topics of geography. And in economy, there are more number of questions from economic history, 1991 reforms, resources and industries. Trust me, out of the 25 questions of your paper, you can handle 3 to 4 questions if you are good at all these topics. And the most common, most valued books which are there for GS in SSC in the market are not yet updated with these topics. So the conclusion is, you don't have to read NCERTs for all the topics of history, geography, polity, economy. You have to do this as a selective reading. You have to pick up the chapters where these topics are focused, and you need to read only those chapters. So the question is, what are the books and what are the chapters? Well, here is the list. These are the names of the books, the titles of the books, and these are the list of chapters. You don't have to read all the chapters from all the books. You have to pick up the book and you should do selective reading of the chapters, and this entire list makes up 30 chapters. So even if you give 30 to 40 minutes a day for NCERTs, you can take 2 days for a chapter. You can complete these NCERTs within 60 days, which is well within the time frame that you have for 2026 cycle. Now, if I end this video here, assuming that I have ended this video here, immediately the next question would be, where do I find these chapters? Give me a particular link. That would be the most common question. It could be in my Telegram DMs or in the comments. So we decided to solve this problem as well. So to address the problem of give me the PDF, we decided to prepare a whole compilation of all these chapters and give that as a single PDF. And this is the PDF that I'm talking about. This is a Siddhiprep's most relevant NCERT compilation, which is curated for SSC exams of 2026. We have arranged all the NCERT books that are necessary in chapters based on the subjects, and we have ensured that we picked up the most relevant and the most important chapters only. So the question that is left out is, should I read the entire NCERT? Should I read only specific lines? How many times do I read it? What should I do? Well, I have answers for those questions as well, so that I can complete the entire topic of what NCERTs should be read, how to read them, when to read them, what to read, etc. Let us understand that. The first question is, should I read these NCERTs straight away? Should I start them right now, today itself? The answer is, if you are a repeater, you completed your syllabus elsewhere and now you are looking to add on and increase your score in GS, then start reading the NCERTs outrightly straight away. If you are a beginner, then please don't read these NCERTs today itself. These NCERTs are divided into history, geography, polity and economy. So the source from which you are completing your GS, stick to the source. Once you complete history, then pick up the NCERTs and read the NCERTs that are relevant to history. Once your geography from your source is completed, then pick up the NCERTs of geography. So in that manner, once your core subject is completed, then you pick up this compilation and you handle the topics from the compilation. The second question is, these NCERTs are so bulky, should I read them, and if I am reading them, how do I read them? Look, I agree, I understand that the NCERTs are bulky, the given compilation is also bulky, it is more than 300-350 pages. But the first thing that I want to tell you is, more than 50% of the NCERT is always a story or images, etc. So the effort that goes into reading this is only one time, that is a first round effort. If you can come out of your comfort zone and read them for the first time, then you can revise these NCERTs in no time in the subsequent rounds. So to do this effectively, you need to read these NCERTs in multiple rounds, and let me explain the same thing. In the first round, when you are reading the NCERT, make sure you mark all the important lines. Usually, for a single page of NCERT, you don't have more than 3 to 4 lines that are important, and if there is any box that is specifically given in NCERTs, remember, boxes of NCERT are very important. So in the first round, mark the important lines and mark the boxes and read them. Second and third rounds, you read and revise only the underlined lines. You don't have to read the entire NCERT. Once you read this entire NCERT compilation of 350 pages for the first time and you mark the lines, then you will have less than 1000 or 1100 lines. In second round and the third round, read only the marked lines, the most important lines. So after 3 rounds of revision, the most important task that you must do is, from the important lines, prepare a short notes or a one-liner notes. This is the most effective way, and by the time you prepare this notes, this entire compilation of 350 pages, 360 pages will come down to a small compilation of 40 to 45 pages. And all you need to do is repeated revision of that one-liner notes, that one-liner compilation, that is enough. Now you might ask me, why should I go through all these processes of 1, 2, 3 and 4? Why not you give me one-liner notes which is directly from NCERTs? My dear friends, please understand, you need to read the NCERT so that you can develop your intuition. There are so many people who says there are various types of elimination techniques, etc. For example, you pick up elimination techniques such as the lines where or the statements that have only, such statements are wrong. Usually, these kind of elimination techniques might pull you into traps in the exam. But if you have a basic to concrete understanding of the topic, then you will develop an intuition and you can go for logic or intuition based elimination. So to develop that skill of elimination, for the first time, you have to read NCERTs. Second and third round, revise the same underlined lines, because if you don't revise them and if you straight away jump to writing the short notes, believe me, you will end up writing a copy of all the underlined lines, but you don't have to do that. So read them, underline them, mark the boxes, revise underlined lines. Once you are very good at it, then prepare a one-page notes. That notes will be of 40 to 45 pages, and that 40 to 45 pages notes will help you to handle 4 questions in your papers of 2026. So this is the process with respect to NCERTs. Before I stop this here, let me take a couple of pages and let me show you how you mark the lines, which lines are usually important, and then I can confidently say that I have trained you enough to handle these NCERTs, and I believe you will start doing it. For demonstration purpose, I am using art and architecture part of the same NCERT compilation. Let's take a look at couple of pages and let's understand. Now, here I am taking up the topic of prehistoric paintings. If you take a look at the entire paper, you have a box. Usually, every box is important. You need to take a look at the box and you need to read the box once. Usually, the beginning of the chapter is always an introduction and you don't have much of the things that you can pick up from there, but you can take a look at the images and you can understand the story, and you can completely skip this particular part without underlining anything. Now as you proceed further, here if you see, there are lists of rock shelters. For example, this particular NCERT lists out, there is a Lakudiyar rock shelter, which is there in Uttarakhand on the banks of particular river Suyal. So you need to look for facts that are mentioned in NCERTs. In rock cut paintings or in rock cut shelters, this NCERT mentions about river Suyal, Lakudiyar. Trust me, this is not mentioned in majority of the standard books. So you have to look for such facts and you need to mark such facts, and then after this you have lines which talk about the types of patterns. For example, you have three categories of patterns: man, animal, geometric patterns, etc. These kind of lines are usually asked in the questions, and along with that you also have certain description where you see granite rocks of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh provided canvas to the Neolithic paintings. So this can be a question. These lines can be questions where the question would say majority of the Neolithic paintings were made on granite rocks in the regions of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Now when I frame this statement is exactly similar to Mathura School of Art was primarily based on red sandstone. So these are the kind of lines that you need to pick up. So once you pick up these lines, all you need is you need to revise these lines and you need to give certain extra focus on description to the images. Again, you have Lakudiyar, which is in Uttarakhand. This can be a potential question based on facts, etc. So in this manner, you have to look for facts, you have to look for descriptions, mark those lines, and once you revise those lines multiple times, you are perfectly good with NCERTs, and all you need is read selective NCERTs of certain chapters. First round, read them, underline the important lines. Second, third rounds, revise the same lines. Then in the final round, prepare a one-liner based short notes. All the best.